You see T-Pain released an album where he just covers music? Like he does like Don't Stop Believing and everything, but he like actually sings it like all like.
Can I start the fucking show?
Sure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another introduction to interior design while igniting interesting passions inside your internals, initiating the ignition of the issue of ignoring internal innocence. Uncle Gary righteously read the Tapitaka and told Tommy to toss his temptations to the wayside episode of the Days Grimm. I don't know if I'll ever do an intro where I don't stutter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't do it. It's not in my...
You got to start like practicing with marbles in your mouth or something, you know?
How are you, sir?
Doing all right.
My name is Brian Michael Day. I forgot that part.
Yeah, my name is Thomas Grimm.
Thomas Grimm, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Drove to Louisville, got a new camera.
Sick. And we've taken some shots of our of the studio today. My nose is really, really itchy, and it's not because of whatever you're about to say. It's because allergies are a bitch.
Baking soda is used to cut.
That's some stepped on, dude. No, man. Seriously, like I went and bought some. The daytime allergy. What's the popular one? The orange and green.
Yeah, Dayquil.
No, whatever. I bought some. Still not helping. So that's where I'm at with my life today. Thomas, I'm gonna pour a drink. Would you introduce our guest?
Joining us this week in the Days Grimm studio is Jodie Murtha. How are you?
I'm great.
Jodie!
Woohoo!
What's up, ma'am? How are you?
Oh, everything is amazing.
Don't mind me. I just look like an alcoholic while I pour some bourbon. The good news is the listeners at home don't know, but it is afternoon. So just so you guys know.
You know, if you really think about it, if you want to go there really, time doesn't exist. And we may not know what kind of parallel we're in. So that means we can drink any time we fucking want.
Hell yeah. So, God, I fucking love your attitude, by the way. So we've gotten to briefly know one another just in like the pre-show or whatever.
Angie saged the room for us?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It smells like a beautiful sage. I don't know where sage grows.
In the ground?
Like where, though?
All over?
Like
everywhere? It's not like native to a place?
No, but there's climate, so it depends. It's like honey.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you, well.
I know a lot about honey.
Okay, so if you know about honey, then you know that depending on where the bees were when it made its honey and what time of year the honey was made, it can affect how it smells or how it tastes. So it's same with the sage.
Thomas, do you want to give her a fun fact about bees when they have sex?
Their dick explodes.
Did you know this?
I did not.
Fun fact, their wieners explode.
I've also told Brian I got a guy from Nepal that can hook me up with some Nepalian bee honey from the mountains.
That would be amazing.
I think it's Nepalese.
Nepalian?
No, Nepalese. Yep.
I think it's
He's
Nepalese.
Right.
I don't know where I just pulled that from my memory.
I don't know.
You said Napoleon. I was like, this guy's... Oh, that'll get bleeped out.
Yeah.
So we take care of ourselves. It ages better that way. So anyways, how are you, ma'am? Doing okay today?
I am doing great.
Beautiful Sunday.
Yep.
I had that weird faux sense of security when I woke up this morning. I was like, oh, it's sunshiny. Like it was after the snow kind of went away, which by the way, fuck the snow. But the snow had gone away.
Stupid.
The sun came out and I looked out my window. I was like, oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. And then I walked out there and it was like 12 degrees outside. I was like, dude, I'm so tired of Indiana.
Literally this morning, I wanted a donut because I don't know if you know this, but there is a gas station that literally is like right down the road from me.
Okay.
That has the best donuts, better than Evansville's supposed best donuts.
Oh yeah, let's not name drop.
I'm not. No. But I am saying I
want them on the show.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. So I really wanted one, and I was like so cold. I literally went down there in my pajamas and the biggest fur coat. Like
that's classy.
Covered me because I didn't want anyone to know that I was like in my pajamas, didn't put a bra on, the whole thing, just because I needed a donut really bad.
I'm not gonna lie though, fur coat. That's classy as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I like your overall persona so far. I'm in love.
I guess for our listeners that don't know, exactly everything you do. You give us
Yeah.
a short
What's your
elevator
elevator
pitch of you and everything you do.
So I started off with trying to find a job because I actually started a family very early and before I got to go to college. And my mom had it ingrained in my brain that you've ruined your life, right? And so I decided that I was going to go to college when my oldest son became a year old.
Okay.
But I had to pick something, and I didn't know what to pick. And I happened to be working at Sears.
Shout out.
Right? At the time.
Rest in peace.
Right. It's not available. And I was talking to some of the I wasn't in the right department. It didn't feel right. And I didn't like where I was working, but I liked working there. And I didn't know what I was going to do for like a living. And so one of the guys was like, well, you should go to Ivy Tech and you should go to interior design. And they go, because I just saw that they posted for the drapery department. But if you go up there and talk to the manager, they'll give you the job if you tell them you just went to school or going to school for it. And that's what happened. So that's how I got into interior design. And I didn't even know what it was, to be quite honest. And so let me say this. So there's a huge difference between interior design and interior decorating. So
what is the difference?
So interior decorating is what you think when I say interior design is, right? Like putting the aesthetics together, color selections, furniture choices, fabrics, the finishing touches. But a designer, I have the ability to go in and I'll actually draw floor plans. I can rearrange walls. I can go in and do full remodels, project manage. And the stuff at the end is just the pièce de résistance, so to speak.
Is that French?
That's like the La Resistance, dude. That's like, isn't that like what started World War II? No,
Napoleon, you mean?
I'm only joking. No,
Yeah.
Nepalese, you chode.
I was talking about Napoleon Bonaparte.
I'm leaving chode in there, by the way. So you get into...
So I get into interior design, and I didn't know what it was, but I ate it, drank it, slept it. And the reason why is it was my only shot. I felt like it was my only shot to like have a career and like be something and do something other than like be a server or something, which shout out to all servers. That's a tough job. And that's why I tip you guys well, because I hated it like with a passion.
I did it too.
So do you use one of those fancy, so I was watching some
I don't like how you're wording this question immediately.
Interior designers, and they were writing on blueprints, like each thing of like the whatever room was labeled, and they had like this fancy ruler, and then it had a letter etching, so they had like the pen up here, and so like if you were drawing an A, you did that, and it kept it all in box form.
So when I went to college, though, this is going to show my age, we were required to learn how to draw it like that.
Is this like calligraphy?
Yeah. Yes, a little bit. It's a little bit. It's like a watered down version of calligraphy because there's a specific font in which you have to do blueprints in. But I had actually studied calligraphy prior to that, and we had, like I said, I had a teacher that required us to write every single day.
You had that leg up, ahead of the game.
Yeah. So basically, I worked as an interior designer for many, many years, and I worked for a company. I did everything. I've owned my company. I've bought for companies. I've designed throughout. I even used to design furniture, and I had like a blacksmith and a woodsmith and a glassmith. And I mean, if
you knew a lot of Smiths,
all the Smiths.
That's a lot of Smiths.
And because there's a lot.
Did you know Microsoft's John Smith?
What are you talking about?
Have you ever seen that? Whenever you go make an email, they're always like John Smith.
Oh, like in their promos and stuff? Yeah, no, I don't think she knows John Smith.
Well, damn.
Well, anyway, so absolutely the Smiths. And I would make furniture for customers because I had a studio, and I didn't have any buying power, so I couldn't go to market, and I couldn't buy furniture or for my clients. And so I just made it. I would have it custom made. So I did that for a while too. So I've done everything that you could do as far as interior design goes. And when back in 2008, I had the first showings of an autoimmune disorder. It was called trigeminal neuralgia. I will not ask you to try to repeat that.
Not going to.
And it's a nerve problem where the nerves in your spinal cord kind of that come up to the front of your face kind of start shorting out, and it sends signals which are very painful. And I didn't know what was going on, and I just was miserable. But I kept working. Like, I didn't stop working. I never stopped working. And every year I would get diagnosed with another one, and then another one, and then another one.
Jesus, Murphy.
And I got to the point where I'd worked for this company for 13 years. The stress of working for this company, I was doing some of the one of the biggest jobs in Evansville, Indiana at the time, plus 11 other projects. It was crazy.
That sounds sweaty.
Yeah, with all by myself, and I had hurt myself at work.
Jeez.
There was some stuff in the way, and I tripped over it trying to get to the bathroom. And so I tore a tendon. So I literally was also doing it all one-footed because because I wasn't, the doctor was like, go home and rest. I was like, no, I can't.
You were like a pirate.
I was like the Aaron Brockovich of interior design at this moment, because it's like, you don't seem to understand, like, it's all here. Like, no one else can pick up the job and go. It's all right here.
Yeah, there's no left seat, right seat training for this. Yeah.
No. And so I got to the point where I finished the job, and I had made a decision that I had to leave that job. I could no longer, it was killing me. The job itself was killing me, and I was not going to ever be able to begin healing until I was able to get away from that.
Chill out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I quit, and I had this really awesome job at the beach in Surfside City, South Carolina. I had this great...
Say that 6 times.
I know, right? I had to think about it. Did you see me? I was like, I'm going to say it.
Jesus.
And I had this, so I'd gotten this opportunity. I went out there, got the job.
Nice.
But I had this surgery on the foot by then, and the doctors had done an assessment, but I hadn't gotten assessments back. So as soon as I get home, I'm excited. All I have to do is sell my house, and I'm moving to the beach, and I'm starting a whole new life.
Sick. You're going to learn how to surf.
I'm going to do all of it.
Oh, yeah.
All of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get the assessment. The doctor brings me in and says, oh, by the way, here's everything that's really actually wrong with you. And you can't walk. And I'm like, but I am walking. They're like, yeah, but you're not going to heal unless you don't. So I was put on a very strict, where I couldn't stand or walk no more than 10 minutes at a time.
Jeez.
Then I had to sit down for 10 minutes. I couldn't go up and down the stairs more than once an hour. I couldn't lift a box more than 5 pounds from the floor to my waist, and I couldn't lift anything from over 10 pounds from my waist up. So basically, I could do nothing, right? And I was partially handicapped. I actually used a rollator. Do you know what that is? It's the walker with the seat in the wheels. Yeah,
sounds like a real FDR type situation you got going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it was that, literally, no pun intended, grim. It was super, like, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Because I can't work. I can't sell this house. I can't get to the beach. I figured the beach would help me. So, and that's kind of how I basically found Reiki, because I couldn't stop having anxiety attacks either. And so the funny story about the Reiki is, because I had nothing else better to do while I was trying to, like, calm my life down.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of reality television, and I didn't even know what a Reiki Master was, except for there's a reality show on Bravo.
Okay.
And this idiot that is on the show, he's really I can't stand his character as a human.
Is this
actually
a fiction show, or is
no, this is reality television. I just don't know if I can say say the name or not. But anyway, nonetheless,
in short, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he was a jackass, and all of his friends were like, "We hate you, but we're going to try to fix you because we love you, but we hate you." So they took him to a Reiki Master, and I was watching what she was doing to him, and I didn't know what it was she was doing, but it seemed to help him. And so one day, I'm like desperate. And I throw it out on Facebook. Hey, does anyone know somebody who can, like, do guided meditation or a Reiki Master? Did not know what Reiki Master was. And there's that one name that just kept popping up over and over and over again. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to call that person right now.
Was it Buddha? No, I'm joking. Who was it?
Joe Weegent.
Joe Weegent.
Yes. And so that's kind of how that began. The Reiki part began.
Neat,
Before
dude.
we get too much more details, we should do the death of the week.
Are you sneaking in on me, dude?
Yeah, I'm excited about the death of the week.
Popping it in real fast, you know?
You came sneaking up at me, and I didn't know what you were trying to do. So we will roll into this. Are you familiar with the death of the week?
I am. So I'm excited to see if what you've selected today for
this one's pretty wild. Also, just know I'm going to read this story, and just know that I relate to this man. Know that now. This week's Death of the Week brought to you by Corndog Development. His Etsy store link is in our description. Days Grimm promo code saves you 10% on everything in his store. Also, check out thedaysgrimm.com. Get you some sweet merch. Get you some of this stuff like a sweet mug or something. Nice tea. That being said, this week's Death of the Week. Man, 41, dies after taking 2 Viagra pills while drinking. A 41-year-old man has died after taking 2 Viagra tablets while drinking alcohol. It has been reported. The man from Nagpur, India, was staying at a hotel with a female friend, aka with the pair drinking together before he took 2 50-milligram tablets of sildenafil, which is sold under the brand name Viagra. He woke up the next morning, so he had a good time.
Hell of a night.
He wakes up the next morning feeling uneasiness, according to March's edition of Journal of Forensic and Legal Medicine. He was also vomiting, and his female friend, urged him to seek medical help. However, he dismissed her concerns, telling her he had experienced these symptoms previously, but his condition worsened. The man was taken to the hospital, but was declared DOA, dead on arrival. He died of a cerebrovascular hemorrhage, which is when the oxygen delivery to the brain is reduced. An autopsy ruled that the mixture of alcohol and the medication, as well as a pre-existing high blood pressure diagnosis, led to his death. His blood alcohol level, BAC, was 0.186, almost 4 times Australia's legal driving limit of 0.05. Also, shout out to the wombats in Australia.
And you gotta think he quit
dog
drinking
balls.
hours before.
He made it through the damn night, dude. Shit on my chest. Holy God.
She might have if you paid him enough.
Also, I don't kink shame, dude. I'm not into that. Do you kink shame?
Yeah, there's certain kinks that I just...
That's not fair of you to do that, though.
I don't
Do you
care.
kink shame?
Well, let's define kink shame.
Kink is just anything out of
I
missionary.
know what kink is, but kink shame, meaning
I like foot stuff, and you're like, that's gross.
Oh, no. You can do whatever you want to do. I may not participate, but you do you.
If you shit in a litter box, I'm making fun of you.
What
I'm
is
sorry,
wrong with
but
you? Who's shitting in a litter box?
Furries.
Cats.
Oh, yeah. Have you heard of the furries?
I've not.
You don't? Okay, so, anyways, what
There are
did you
people
think?
that believe that they were meant to be cats, so they wear like cat suits and stuff, and sometimes at conventions, hotels will put litter boxes in their rooms.
Okay.
That's
did you see? I did a little shaming right there. I was trying to hold it back, and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not finding any good. Okay, this is what they do. That's a furry.
Oh my.
Yeah, and then they do like weird.
But we have
cat
all
stuff.
these people that like to do the reenactments of historical things and all of that. So
So what's it any different?
It is really no different. And I
agree.
I'm not really sure what all happens in these these swinging houses either. But
yeah,
a lot of pineapples.
I was just told about pineapples recently.
Yeah.
I didn't know any. I have
pineapples. Yeah.
I have a shirt that has pineapples all over it, and they're like all rotated around, and so I'm never wearing it again.
You should. No, actually, you should wear it. You should wear it everywhere.
I'm gonna be approached.
Of course. What? Don't you want to be like?
Get a little confidence boost.
Get
you know?
some details. Like I need some details.
Dude, it's a sick shirt though. I've actually worn it on the podcast one time. Yeah. I love it. It's a white shirt and it's got yellow and green pineapples all over it, and they like rotate around, and there's a bunch of they have to be upside down, is what I was told.
Correct. Upside down. Yep.
Or in the top of your shopping cart.
As I should not know that, but I do. However, can I go back just because when you were telling the story of the death of the week, it made me think of another story.
Oh no.
This dude didn't die. So it's not really technically a death of the week, but something did die. So this was told to me by a former police officer who...
Fuck, this is about to get juicy,
yeah.
dude.
So this was
buckle up real quick,
back
dude.
in the day. Yeah. Back in the day, when he was an early police officer, like you could go into the hospital. There was no HIPAA bullshit, right? It was like you could just whatever. And they had this call. An emergency call, and paramedics showed up, police showed up, fire trucks, everybody shows up because this dude was in a pickle. He had taken a Mountain Dew bottle.
Oh no.
2 liter. And he put it on his penis.
Oh, okay. This is going a different direction.
Yeah. He put it on his penis, but then he couldn't get it off. So it was stuck. So they walk in, and the paramedics have him they're trying to get him on the gurney, but they can't because it's Mountain Dew bottle on his member. So they cut it off, right? So they could get him. They cut the Mountain Dew bottle off. So now I want you to visualize. Here's his Mountain Dew bottle.
It's like his dick with a dog cone on it.
Exactly. It was like the cone of shame on his dick, as he had to, and nonetheless, and so all you cops and all these people could go in and out of the room because there was no HIPAA, and so everyone was going in there because they're like, "Oh yeah, I got to see this. You got to see this, right?"
That dude fucking hates himself.
Yeah, because he did not. His penis didn't make it. He made it, but he did not. His little guy.
I had a buddy in high school. We all got a hold of some Viagra, and after 4 hours, you're supposed to go to a doctor if it doesn't go down and stuff. And so we all took our turn whenever the time came to use it. And I remember getting the phone call one night, and he's like, "Guys, it hasn't gone down. It's been 5 hours. I need somebody to take me to the emergency room."
This is gonna get a little. This is gonna get a little graphic. Do you just keep coming? What's happening?
No, even once you come, it's still hard, and it stays hard. Yeah, it just doesn't go down.
It's painful, but it's painful because basically what it does is it's engorged at that point. So
and all the blood
is there, and it can't come out.
The blood through your body's also lacking at that point too. You get lightheaded.
That's why you can't take it if you have high blood pressure.
Right.
So okay.
So we go pick them up.
Oh, you're talking about your buddy still.
We go pick him up and we take him to the hospital in the emergency room, and they make him sit down in a wheelchair, and they put a blanket over his over the side of the wheelchair and everything, and
to cover his dick.
And they wheel him back in the back room, and then he comes out maybe maybe an hour later or something. And he's like, "Guys, you wouldn't believe, they give you a shot to numb it, and then they take a needle and they draw blood directly out of it for it to go down."
No, thank you. Keep your fucking needles, dude. I will not be taking Viagra anytime soon. My question is, back to the death of the week, this poor soul whose name was not mentioned in the article, so I don't have to bleep a name. That's really dope. Okay. Oh, actually, no, not to this death of the week, to your friend. That's what I wanted to go back to.
Yeah.
How, not your friend, but the guy with the cone of shame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm and I'm not bragging. I just want to be clear. It is like Gatorade bottle or nothing for me. I can't get it into anything else. You know what I mean?
So it
has to be
that's the whole thing.
How did he get it in there?
Right. Well, I mean, that's so, the dicks come in all sizes and shapes. So you can only imagine.
But that's
he may have had some length, but maybe he didn't have any girth for sure.
Well, Jimmy Fallon does the micro penis competition.
That's true. Have you seen that? That's neat. We can't show it on air, but it's really neat. I highly suggest you check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, they just line a bunch of dudes up, and they're like, "All right, who's got the smallest one?" Yeah.
They're all small.
Have you ever seen The Hangover?
Yes.
When the little Asian guy pops out of the trunk?
He wouldn't win that competition.
Looks like a little acorn.
Yeah.
That's big for this competition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It gets bad.
But anyways, off the dicks.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. A lot of dick talk, dude. I could literally talk dicks all day. I want to talk Jodie. What's up, ma'am? So, okay.
Okay.
So what was it like when you experienced Reiki for the first time?
So the first time I went in, I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what to expect.
Magic medicine.
Right. And also I was very angry at the time, and also very angry with men at the time. And
I just got an evil eye. Just for everyone who's not watching and they're only listening.
And so I walk in, I knew he was a man. And so the first thing I said to him when I walked in, because he was like, how can I help you? And I go, well, first of all, you cannot be a man. Like, that's already a problem for me.
Yeah, dude.
And he was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like that I can't change. And then, but what happened was, I was in severe pain all the time.
And this is the fellow that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What was his name again?
Joe Weegent.
And he's a local fella?
Yeah. Yeah, he's
From
a West Sider.
Evansville.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
Yep.
Okay, moving forward.
And so I did a lot of talking in that one. I didn't let him really touch me. I didn't let him, I didn't get on the table.
Yeah.
Because there's you can
That's
lay
a weird
down.
thing anyways.
I was like, I'm just going to sit in this chair over here, and I'm going to tell you what I really think about the fucking world right now, because I was so angry. And so the hour was over, and I had been seeing a therapist too, by the way, just as a side note. And I didn't know why, but I felt better. Even though I had this therapist that I basically had the same thing to, where I could tell her anything, but I don't know why I felt better. And he's like, so we get out there, and he's like, so what did you think about, today's, session? And I said, I don't know, but I really don't have an opinion. And so, but I'm willing to try it again, because I don't know what it did or didn't do. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to rule it out.
Are you more or less skeptical when you leave the office?
Oh, I'm still skeptical. I don't know.
As skeptical as when you walked in?
Yeah. Except for the fact that when I got home, I started realizing I wasn't in any pain.
Physical
pain. I was not in any, and you have to keep in mind, I didn't really walk in as very well. I had my rollator, right? When I rolled in.
Yeah, you're strolling.
Yeah.
You're FDRing in the damn door.
and so I got home, and I'm like, wow, I had a little relief, right?
Okay.
And it lasted for a couple of days. And so I went back the next time, right? Mm-hmm. And same kind of situation. So it wasn't comfortable getting on the table, still had a lot of yelling to do. In fact, he shared his office with another professional, and she had asked him later, who was yelling at you? Was everything okay? I almost was concerned.
She's yelling at the world. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. It's not me. It's her. It's her demons.
That's how loud. Yeah, that's how loud I was. And so, so the more I went, the more I felt better. But I still was very skeptical. I really didn't know what was happening. Right.
Okay.
And it wasn't until my little dog Shenanigans, my little Chihuahua, she got very sick, and I was literally, I woke up one morning and I couldn't find her, because she always sleeps with me, and I couldn't find her. And I went downstairs, and literally she was bleeding profusely from her anus.
Okay. That's problematic.
Very, especially a very small dog, because she was only 7 pounds.
They have a cup of blood in their body.
Right. So I scoop her up and I rush her to the emergency room.
Was it a lot of blood?
A lot.
Really?
I was terrified.
Jesus.
She was my baby. Right. And so we're in the emergency room, but I had a Reiki session that afternoon scheduled, and the doctors are doing all these tests, and I'm throwing money. I'm just throwing money, whatever, whatever you got to do.
Yeah,
fix my baby. And they're telling me, well, this is something that has to do with stress, and we don't know if we can save her, and blah. And I'm like, you're gonna. So I called Joe and I said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to reschedule, because this is what's going on. And he goes, oh no. He goes, I do animals. And I said, okay, well, I don't care what you do.
That's weird.
No.
The wording was weird,
okay,
but
sorry.
It's not.
He goes, I give Reiki to animals.
Oh.
He goes, I give Reiki to animals too.
Again, nothing on this show is off limits.
Yeah, I know,
so
right?
you immediately have to assume, I assume.
Your mind went right there. And had you said the same thing, my mind would have gone the same place. So there's no problem.
Quick sidebar.
Yeah.
I've seen a grown man have sex with an animal.
And you've seen a grown woman get railed by an animal.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets, so my mind is...
You're a very curious little gent.
It's not by choice. A lot of the time, it's just the dude with the donkey was it a goat? You couldn't tell, but it was in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that happens.
I think it was a goat.
They get lonely.
Because they say that the goat vagine, if you will, is very similar to a human vagine, and I think that's why they do it. I think it's very.
I don't really think that would be a factor if that's all they had was a goat.
Yeah, it's Afghanistan. They don't have much.
I mean, if it was a sheep or if it was a llama,
it might have been a sheep. I can't remember.
Llamas are taller, but I
didn't mean to derail your story,
okay.
but that's where my mind's at. So now you know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit. So he says, I give Reiki to animals.
And I said, okay, then can you come over here? Because I can't come to you with her. And so he came over.
Why can't he come to you with? Oh, wait, why can't he come to you?
No, I said, can you? And he's like, yeah, I'm on my way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's like, I'll be right there.
Oh, sick. Okay.
And so I said, okay. So I told him what hospital we were at. And at that point, they had me in the back with her, and I was holding her, and they had her all hooked up to IVs, and she just looked lethargic. And I mean, she just looked like
end of the
death's
road.
door. And I'm holding, basically, they've given her to me to hold until she takes her last breath.
Right.
And I said, my friend's coming. I didn't tell them what my friend did because, that's none of their damn business. Yeah. But, I'm sitting back there, and that's basically they've given up.
Right.
So he comes in, and he sits in a chair next to me, like kind of like to the side of me, like this, and he kind of rolls up.
And you're holding Shenanigans?
I'm holding Shenanigans like this on my chest. And he puts his hand on her, and he held his hand on her for 2 hours.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
And the next thing I know is all of a sudden she perks her head up and her eyes are clear and she looks like life has regained her body.
Wild.
And I was like, okay, there's something to this. I don't know what it is. I'm not like I have so many girlfriends and so many friends now that I've met that, this has been their life, that they have been into all of this stuff since they were little. And I haven't. I've been a princess,
right.
Miss Fancy Pants,
100%.
Right?
Fur coats.
Totally. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm dealing with, but I just know like whatever you just did saved this dog's life. And now I am eternally grateful. And if you can save a dog's life, you can save my life. Right.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of where I was going with that. And so then the trust was established a little bit better. And so we went through where I was going to him like 2 hours at a time every week. Like I was dedicated because I was determined to get through all my demons, because that's really ultimately what we're trying to accomplish with Reiki, right?
Yeah.
It's healing, but we can help you heal, but you got to heal yourself if you're going to really get super, super deep into truly healing, right? You got to go deal with your inner child, and you got to deal with your shadow work, and you got to deal with all of that, the shit that no one wants to deal with. You got to chum it up in the water, and you got to fish it out.
It sounds fucking
right?
terrible.
It is. But you got to do it, and you got to do it actually over and over and over again. That's the one thing that people don't realize, and you don't just do it one time and then it's done.
Like a magic potion or something.
It washes over you like an ocean. It comes in waves. So your psyche can only handle so much. Okay. So when you're going deep and you're, being vulnerable and you're letting out all of the shit, right? No matter what's happened to you in your life, it's going to eventually only come out so much, right? You can only so much of it can your psyche handle, only so much of it. So you're going to be protected to a certain, your higher self or the universe. That we're getting into, belief systems in a minute, but that's how I kind of communicate that. We'll kind of cue you in on how much you can actually handle before it just says, okay, this is as far as we're going to clean up today, and now you'll have to come back later and deal with it again.
And a lot of these appointments are like, so you can go in and, like you said in the beginning, you could sit down and you could let out, vocally, express that energy that way. But then I've did a little research on Reiki throughout the week. And so some of the times that people come in, they lay down almost like a massage bed, like you were mentioning. Yep. And then like they'll just take their hands and they make sure that it's okay with the person that they're doing it on. But like they touch like the head, the earlobes, the neck, the face. And stuff along those lines.
Yes, there are certain hand positions, but we can get into that. But I'm gonna tell you something that's really gonna blow your mind as we get through this.
I have to mention also, just to back to how much of a psychopath I really truly am. When you said it didn't matter, like you said to the vet or whatever, to the doctor, you were like, I just told them my friend was coming. I didn't say what he did, like, right? So in my head, like, I had to bite my tongue.
What were you going to say?
In my head, I'm like trying not to laugh because, and let me explain. In my head, I was like, my friend's coming. Don't worry about what he does. Okay. And then my friend shows up and it's just a dude in like a birthday fucking clown suit. And it's like, she's dying, so I want her to have a live performance before she goes, okay?
Oh my God, that would be
I don't know. And I just see a clown
hilarious.
fucking juggling fucking balls and like making balloon animals in my fucking... I'm so sorry.
Really?
I literally had to like bite my tongue. I wanted to laugh.
I appreciate you letting...
I'm so sorry.
No, because here's the thing, right?
I'm a very honest person.
Well, but that's the thing, right? So I think what happens, in my opinion, with a lot of people is we are afraid to speak. Okay, so most of my clients, a big portion of them, come to me, and one of the number one things. There's two things I notice usually right off the top. One, their third eye is usually super, super open. Yours is very close, by the way.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
There's got to be a balance. Everything has to have a balance, right? So yours is so closed that we might need to open it just a little bit.
Mine's probably blinking.
And yours is like this, right?
Oh, yeah, it's like a strobe light. It's a dance party.
Yes. Yeah. I can feel it over here.
Nightclub in here, dude.
I can feel it over here. So I noticed that, and then I noticed that immediately about their throat chakra, right? And
my throat.
Your throat chakra. So I don't know if you did the research about the chakras.
I know I've heard of chakras.
Okay. So
I've heard it called chakra. Is it chakra?
It depends on where you're from.
Okay.
As far as that goes. It's kind of like tomato, right?
Potato, tomato. I
get
it.
Yeah. I say chakra.
Okay.
I think that's more prevalent in the UK, overseas, India, that sort of thing. They'll pronounce it a little bit more like that.
Fucking shout out to those guys.
But, we're in southern Indiana, so if you got to say chakra, say chakra. It's, Shaka Khan, whatever. It's however we end up.
Shaka Khan.
Yeah, right.
My dad says fillet mignon, so we're good here. Like anywhere close, I'll be fine.
Right.
I'm like, just give him a steak.
So there are chakras like all over your entire body, but there's 7 main ones, right? And it starts with your crown chakra, then your third eye, then it goes into your throat chakra, your heart chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral, and then your root chakra, right?
Okay, so is the sacral for the...
So your root chakra has a lot to do with your stability in your life, right?
So like Sara Guru mentions, like finding an old tree and burying your feet at the base
grounding,
of it.
yes. And being rooted in the world and being rooted in where you are in your life makes you feel stable, and your root chakra then will stay balanced as it should. Most people's sacral chakra, especially women's sacral chakras, are off because, well, that's our womb. Men don't have wombs, but they still can bury their emotions into that area because it's pretty deep.
Okay.
And
I got a deep
and
non-womb.
you'll have back problems.
Oh,
like when you start having lower back problems, it's probably because you've got some shit we need to get out of there.
Somebody probably should have brought that up to FDR. Call back from earlier in the episode.
Right?
That dude was probably all built up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Every bit of it. Like, we need a Reiki colonoscopy immediately.
Dude, there was in the 40s, it's wild to think about, like, since we're talking about, like, pent up stuff, and, like, the 40s was such a weird time. Like, you think about your parents and, like, my grandparents and stuff, and it was, like, especially for a male, to, like, any kind of, like, feeling or fucking emotion.
Yeah, they
just,
weren't
allowed.
Yeah.
Bury it. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude.
When you were learning this, were you like looking a lot into like Alan Watts and stuff?
Ooh, Alan Watts is a cool dude.
I did more into Edgar Cayce.
Interesting.
And then that's kind of when I also segued into kind of more of the ghost stuff too.
Who is Edward Cayce?
So Edward Cayce was actually in Kentucky, and he kind of had this really cool ability to. He would put himself to sleep, and when he would wake up, he would have like the answer to all these problems, someone's problems.
Have you? So I'm assuming you've read some of his literature. Looks like he's got a bunch.
It's a bunch. So he had a
Up Against the Wall, World on the Edge, Earth Mapping. Yeah. This guy's very well established. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Sorry, not to derail the conversation.
No. But yeah, so and plus because he was kind of a local
hero,
so
Yeah,
so
born in Topeka, Kansas. So
no, this is you got the wrong Edward Casey.
Oh, this is the wrong guy?
Yeah, this is Edward Casey in Kentucky.
Wrong dude, guys. So sorry. But anyway, so
it's okay.
But you got into a lot of his literature, and that kind of helped you through.
Well, I was very interested in that, and then the other thing that I was very interested in too. So when I was originally, my Reiki master came to me one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to be teaching a Reiki 1 class. Would you be interested?" And I said, "No." I said, "You've met me. I am nobody. I have no reason to help anybody. I'm not in any position whatsoever to help anyone." And he said, "No, that's not true, first of all. And second of all," he goes, "keep in mind," he goes, "Reiki 1 really is only going to, be for yourself, so you can give yourself Reiki." So immediately I thought, oh, I can save some money. And then also, it will help you. You can do it for your pets. So I'm like, oh, well, then I'm in.
Right.
Sign me up.
We're fucking bargain shopping at this point.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. And so I showed up, and there were just 4 girls, myself and 3 other ladies that I went to Reiki with, and kind of actually 2 of them we went all the way through together. And
through like all the levels,
all 4 levels of Reiki.
Oh, okay.
To get in to become a master teacher.
Okay.
And one is still one of my dearest friends. And so, but I remember showing up, and I sat down, and there was a girl sitting over here who actually today is like one of my dearest friends, Tabitha. But this girl literally would not talk to me, would not look at me, like no eye contact. She did not, like, there was no, like, I have like this personality, like, hey, let's, have a conversation.
I'm the same.
And this person's like, don't even look over here. And if you're talking, don't even direct your eyes over here when you're talking. Like, she was not having it. Right. And then there was an older lady that was kind of annoying, but but in a good way. Right. Cause she just always had this something to say about something.
Right.
And then another girl. And, so we all had this amazing moment. Now, I was an only child growing up. So I have experienced a level of feeling lonely as a latchkey kid that you just really can't shake. Even if you're in a relationship or anything like that, you can't shake that feeling.
As a kid, where did you spend most of your time? Like, where'd you
I grew up in Mount Carmel, Illinois.
Oh, damn. You're Illinesian.
Yeah. I'm an Illini.
Yeah. My wife's Illinesian, too.
Oh, cool. What part of Illinesia?
She's...
What part of Chicago fucks us all?
Yeah, no, she's not from Chicago. She's never killed anybody. She's from Blueford.
Where's that?
Tiny little crap town northeast of Mount Vernon.
Okay.
Mount Vernon.
Okay.
So you're like down in the triangle of like Carmi. There's like 3
Albion. Yep.
And then there's another one. I can't remember, but you're down there, and she's like 45 minutes north, hour north.
Yep.
Yeah. So really cool. Sorry, we didn't say that earlier. I didn't know where you were from. So
yeah. I started off there, but I moved here to Evansville in '93.
So did you have to get through all 4 levels of Reiki before you were able to do it on somebody else?
You have to get through you have to become a Reiki 2 teacher. Practitioner actually is the actual word.
What was it like the first time you performed Reiki on somebody?
The first time, so I walk in, right, and I'm in this room, and the first thing that Joe says,
nice.
No,
Are you okay?
I'm good. Thank you. The first thing he says is like, let's go around and introduce each other and say why you're here. And so, they all go around and they're like talking about, well, I've experienced this, or I grew up in a ghost house, or that all of this,
a ghost house,
all of this stuff that has been, like where they've had experience with all of these spiritual things,
happenings.
Right?
Yeah.
And I sit there, I go, well, I'm an interior designer. I have no idea why I'm here. What are my exact words? And I guess I really didn't, but this is the thing. So at the very end of the teaching, there's a ceremony that they do. And this ceremony is very, very, it can be a very spiritual moment for some. It doesn't have to be spiritual because Reiki isn't specifically to a spiritual religion.
Energy.
So, but it's all on how it moves you. And so I remember they had me having my hands in like prayer position in front of me because there was something that they needed to do during the ceremony with my hands. And so as I'm sitting there, and I can hear Joe and his wife going around doing this attunement, right? And I can tell there's only 4 of us women, girls sitting here in a row in a chair, and I can tell, like, even though my eyes are closed, the room is dark, got all this stuff going on. I'm in prayer position. Everybody is doing the same exact thing, but I have someone's holding my hands. Like, I feel these really large hands on mine, holding them, and it was the first time I've never felt that empty loneliness, and I just started bawling.
Jesus.
And I had never had that kind of an awakening before. Like, I was born Catholic, and by the time I was in 5th grade, I was like, fuck that.
I think I was the same age.
Like, I could not handle those nuns one more minute, and I could not handle the bullshit that I saw. So I'm like, I'm out. I said, Mom, I'm leaving, and I'm leaving the church, and I'm leaving the school. You can't make me go back. So I went to public school, and then so I started 6th grade in grade school in just public school. And then by 8th grade, my mother and I had gone on a religious quest, and we went to like every church. Like, I mean, every one of them. You name it, that was at it.
Is this for
denominations?
Well, it was for my mother and I, because my mother also was looking. We were brought up. If you're brought up Catholic, you're brought up. You got to go to church 6 times a day, 6 times a week.
I'm surprised they don't brand you. That's
I
where
know,
it's
right?
At. Yeah, it really
I think
is.
There might be one, but you just can't see it.
Yeah,
it's spiritually
intravenous.
Branded. When they do this,
when they
on
baptize
your
you as a baby, they probably like chip you or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is like I think the best word for it is like a cult.
Yeah.
Which I dig it, man. I like a nice cult. Do you get into cults at all?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
I do. I kind of fuck around with them. I'm looking for one, by the way. So
if you know anybody.
Yeah, if you know anybody that's starting a cult anytime soon, shout out to Waco,
trying
Texas.
To get a group of people to go in and buy an entire county.
A plot of land. Yeah. I'm into that.
Not a plot, a county.
I'm into that. I'm on board. So just let me know when it happens.
That's hilarious.
So you're on this religion quest.
Yeah,
you and your mother.
with my mom. And
so was it strictly Christian churches, or were you going to like mosque?
Like,
and...
I even remember us going to like revivals, and like they were speaking in tongues, and they were holding snakes. Yeah,
that's still Christianity, though.
Well,
did you guys venture outside of Christianity?
Yeah, I think we did a little bit. Not much though, because we're still in Mount Carmel, Illinois, right? But
not a lot of synagogues there.
No, nope.
There's one in Newburgh.
It's beautiful too. The synagogue in Newburgh.
I did a bat mitzvah for someone there.
Oh, dude, I fuck with bat mitzvahs so hard, dude. They go so fucking hard. I love a nice bat mitzvah. And then also quinceañeras too. I'm a very cultured, rounded. People look at me and they're like, this guy's got flags over everything. He owns guns, and he probably doesn't like certain kinds of people. And I'm like, people don't even give me a chance, but I'm like the total opposite. So
usually that's how it is.
Yeah, but I do fuck with America and guns. So just so now you can't unknow that, but I'm also very well rounded.
Yes.
No, but yeah, that's really interesting. So, do you remember a religion that you guys tried that wasn't Christianity?
I don't at this moment, but I just remember like constantly going, and the only time I do remember, and I can't remember what church we were at, but we went someplace and went into the main, part of the. As I was young, like I said, this is probably 7th grade. And then they say, okay, all the children this age, they take you to the
Sunday school or
whatever they want to call it, just so they can, get you alone and indoctrinate you.
Yeah. The brainwashing station.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And, I remember I was having a ball because there was people I knew there. Like there were some kids I didn't even know that they went here, and I just seemed like a really cool place.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh yeah, I like this place here. This is like
that's how it starts.
Yeah. And I remember my mom coming in like in the middle. She'd like left the service and came and got me, and she's like, "We're leaving." And I go, "Why? I'm having a great time." She's like, "No, we're leaving. Go. Let's get your coat. Go now."
Was this the snake place?
No, it wasn't. The snake place, we were just kind of like, really not for us, but y'all have fun.
Did you ever find out what happened to her that like threw her off, where she was like, get your shit, we're going back to the house?
Nope.
They did something.
Something happened.
They were like, all the and she was like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. There was some sort of,
we gotta bounce.
Nazi, whatever.
We gotta get the fuck out of here.
But so
wild.
We went through all that, and then we found a church. It was non-denominational Christian.
Okay.
And I was baptized as a Christian.
It's a good way to go.
So, and then, I realized very quickly that can go sideways as well. Because man, no offense to the gentleman in front of me, but man in general, when given power, can sometimes abuse that power.
100%.
And so I saw that happen there as well. I'm done. I'm done with religion altogether. And that was the other thing with Reiki that I didn't really realize as I was going through it. And the reason why it was so helpful to me is like things that I knew, but I didn't know I knew clicked.
Example.
Belief systems that in my head made sense, but I really you couldn't talk to anybody about it because we're in the Bible Belt, right? And you got to be mindful, especially in a career, right? You got to be mindful about what am I, going to say if someone asks me, because people who believe in God, and I'm not saying I don't, I just believe in some other things, right? But if you're Christian, they're gonna make sure that you know it. But I can't talk about it. I would always say, well, I kind of had a bad experience with religion, and I'm really not very religious, but I'm very spiritual.
I was actually, dude, you're inside me right now. I was gonna ask you, what's that saying that you always say?
I always say religion's like a dick. It's great to have, but you don't go shoving it down people's throats.
I'm into that.
Yeah. Also, we're very pro consent on the Days Grimm. So that's really, really in it. So, okay. So you kind of swear off kind of religion altogether. That pun may or may not have been intended. I'm not really sure. But so you kind of swear off all religion at this point.
Yeah.
And
I'm young.
Yeah. At 13, 14 or whatever. Yeah. That's crazy that but honestly for me, it was roughly around a pubescent age where I was like, I'm good. I'm all right. I still love Christianity. It's dope. I haven't switched teams or anything like this fucking guy over here. But
it's really the same team. They're all Abrahamic religions.
But I don't focus. I don't attend church, and I don't focus on my prayer and stuff like that, even though I probably should. But I'm with you. I know that there was a one and all creator. I just don't know the full answer. And somebody that says that they do, it's that's just a dude with a weird necklace on. You know what I mean? It's I get it, Padre, but fucking pump the brakes.
So, I always say like this, there's a little divinity in everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Serendipitous happenings.
There's a little bit of somewhere along the lines as you travel through whether it's religion or belief system or it's whatever. There's a little truth to it. There's a little divinity, and when you stumble on that little nugget, sometimes people get stuck right there, and they build something around that nugget,
like the toast.
Yeah.
Did you see the toast with Mother Mary on it?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The toast.
And everybody thinks
everybody was like, it's like, no, honey, your toaster's about to catch on fire. Why don't you fucking chill out a little bit? And
It's
like stuff like that. It's like, But
at the same time, here's the thing. So, when spirits pass, right? When someone passes and their spirit moves out of their body, right? Now they are trying to communicate with us. So you oftentimes some of those things you're like, okay, but yes and no. What if that was just someone trying to communicate to her somehow, trying to give her a message? It wasn't meant for the whole world. You weren't supposed to create a religion around it. It was just, hey, maybe you should have maybe this is something that needed to happen today.
Yeah. Maybe I know this next thing's about to happen and I'm leading you in the right direction. Right. So now that we're kind of getting into this, I think the Arabs refer to it as a jinn or, in the American culture, we call them ghosts.
Yep.
I think they have their own name for them in Asia, Southeast Asia, these spirits, these ghosts that kind of wander around this weird medium that we call people call it purgatory. Yeah. Some people call it just a median. Some people call it whatever. But they have the in between. They have exited now their previous physical existence, and now they're in this weird place.
Right.
What's your stance on that? What do you think that is?
Okay,
because I'm a big believer in
Tell me
I know we talked about this before the show. People hate saying the word ghost.
Yeah,
I kind of hate saying the word ghost because it's
say spirit.
It's so trampled on. Even spirit is kind of like, people think you're crazy, but like legitimately, not you. I mean, no. You know what I mean?
No, but but keep going. I'm gonna tell you something.
So I just wonder, like, what do you attribute these weird happenings to? Like even when things like happen to move, or like, I swear to God, I heard that. I swear, I know what that sound is, and I heard it. Like, that something happened, but it's inexplicable. So what is that? What's your stance on that?
So I am a full believer of we move out of our bodies. So here's where I kind of help people who may be on the cusp of, I don't follow you, but I try to help them like get there. So we can all agree on one thing, right? That we are all born into a body, and a spirit, our soul, inhabits that body as we're born, correct? Yeah. We can all agree on that, right? Yeah. So if our body dies, the soul moves on.
Has to.
Okay.
Fucking has to.
Now, where and how that soul gets directed, that's where things get hairy. And I have a friend of mine that's always says, it's got to be simpler than that. And I'm like, it's not. It is what it is. We don't have all the answers, but when you get over on the other side someday, it'll make tell sense. Me about it, because this is what I believe. I believe that there are people who get attached to things in this life, okay? And they get attached to things in this life because they were not allowed to think outside the box, and they did not.
By things, are you referencing religion, or are you referencing or what are we talking about here?
Well, all of it, because actually
any physical thing or metaphysical thing,
right? Anything that is metaphysical is something that you're not going to be able to.
Or everything has energy,
right? And we can all agree on that now because it's science. But you go back 50-something years. And, people didn't really know how to handle that kind of stuff.
They didn't even know that the human body it emits a light, like ultraviolet light.
Have you seen any of the videos of somebody starting somebody's car that's dead just by laying their hands on the battery?
That is all energy. Yeah, that's all energy.
I'm not putting my hands near a fucking car battery, just so we're clear. I don't go fucking touching any key ignitions while my hands anywhere.
But you can charge your cell phone, though, that way. If you have enough if you know how to direct your energy.
I don't want to give away the patent, but you had a really good idea about charging stuff and like using motion.
I did a patent search on it too.
And the human body.
It's not out there.
But yeah, the human body really is like this orb of like energy, and it's really weird that we all agree on it.
And
then it's got to go somewhere, because energy, we all know, cannot be created nor destroyed. That's per science, and again, I'm a very pro science guy. So if energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but we all agree that the human body emits energy. So where does that energy go when I die? Mm-hmm. That's the question that no science cannot answer.
You brought in a few quartz for us.
I did.
That's so neat. Is that what this is right here?
So what you're seeing, that's this pyramid kind of spherical thing, that is actually pyrite. And I use pyrite to ground people. Like if I do a Reiki session on someone, and that person goes astral, meaning that they kind of had an out-of-body experience, I do my best to ground someone.
Kind of like that movie Insidious.
Yes.
Astral projection.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But pyrite will bring you right back into your body. I have, like I said, and sometimes it's harder because, once you kind of go out to some amazing place,
you don't want to come back.
What the fuck?
Unless you're in the movie Insidious, because for sure I want to fucking come back. That movie's fucking terrifying.
Right.
So you're familiar.
But yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So I brought some of my tools that I use, and like I said, every Reiki master kind of does their own thing. But what I do is, what I focus on whenever I have someone on the table, right, and I'm working on them energetically, the first thing I'm doing is I'm checking their chakras, because that's going to tell me immediately, like, where do I need to focus my energy and what needs to be worked on, because it also tells me emotionally what's going on with them and physically what's going on with them. Sometimes I will actually ask my spirit guides prior to someone coming to me, like, tell me what's wrong so I know we can get through this faster.
What's a spirit guide?
So we're all born with at least one spirit guide or guardian angel. Depends on what you want.
I like that.
Okay.
Like angels.
And that person, that guide, that guardian angel is with you your whole life. And then throughout your life, you will have at least 3 to 4 different spirit guides that will also be in and out of your life.
Is this like an angel that I know?
You may or may not know that they're there.
Person,
but
or
it could be someone that has it could be a relative, like a
like
past
a relative. Like I always used to think when my mirror was turned that was like my grandpa that taught me a bunch of things, like, yo, check your mirrors and do all that stuff.
It very much could have been. And it could also it could be someone you never met. It could be,
that's kind of creepy.
It could be, well, no, because that person's there for your highest and best good.
Yeah, I don't like strangers.
Well, then you're fucked, dude.
And they're on me, and my fucking strobe's going off, and they think it's a fucking party.
The thing about it is, what a lot of people don't realize is as humans, we have more power than they do. And even if it's our own spirit guide, if we are not feeling their vibe, we can tell them to just fuck off.
And then honestly, like, I'm stronger than the average human being my size.
I wanted to touch on these quartz. There's actually a type of stone, and I'm blanking on the name. I want to say it's a black quartz, but it may not be. It may be tourmaline or something. But it's like it blocks out electromagnetic frequencies.
It's black tourmaline. I actually keep some with me at all times.
I had somebody.
You guys should have some in the studio.
There was some trick of like you hold it in one hand and then like with your other hand you can do something that you couldn't do if you were holding it, due to like if you had your cell phone in your pocket or something along those lines.
I don't follow.
So EMFs, electromagnetic field, is what we're all like. All of this equipment is...
We're swarmed in it right now.
We're bathing in it. We're swimming in it.
Yeah.
And black tourmaline will actually help to stop that being emitted. So some people will because they're on their phones so much, it might carry it like on their person. I had a client who... He was a musician, and he had like a kind of a partial music studio and computer. He was also an IT person, so he had like a ton of he had a tower of like just a lot,
probably a bunch of these guys. Yeah.
And he like slept in that room, and I was like, okay, there's a reason why
sleeping in there.
I was like, dude, your crown chakra's fucked. We're never gonna get it straight unless we're gonna have to separate you from this. And so I basically created a wall of black tourmaline between him and his bed, and so that it wasn't affecting him sleeping.
Murphy, dude, that's fucking deep.
Oh,
he's in it, dude. Like, for sure. Do you think there's a correlation or causation between phones being in our pockets and dick cancer?
Probably. I mean,
so don't speak it.
Okay.
And I wasn't trying to shut you up. But
is
here's
it
the
dumb
thing.
that I asked?
No, it's like speaking things into existence. Every word has meaning.
Manifestation is a real deal. So whenever, if you can look up epigenetics, okay, you're gonna start. That's a wormhole you need to go down, because basically we have been being programmed as an infant in utero all the way up to age 6 or 7, and if it's this. How we respond after we've grown up, we always react the way we reacted as a child to some sort of issue that may be similar.
And then just for a fun fact for the listener, per cdc.gov, epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. Unlike genetic changes, epigenetic changes are reversible and do not change your DNA sequence, but they can change how your body reads a particular DNA sequence. That's pretty. That is in itself a rabbit hole of a description.
So let me break it down for you. Essentially, what happens is let's say you were brought up, okay, believing that because your father had.
He's a douche.
Well, okay, so we'll give him something. Because we speak it, right?
Yeah.
Let's say your dad,
he's got toe cancer.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Gout, whatever. Okay.
Polio. Whatever.
Right.
Man, I don't know.
Okay.
This is a heavy FDR episode.
Yeah, right.
We are on a heavy FDR fucking kick today, dude. And shout out to that guy. That dude's a fucking stud.
So
anyways, go on with the polio.
If you were told your whole life, it's whatever he has is genetics. It's in your genes. You now believe that you're getting it. It's happening. You're going to get it because you've been told it's genetic. So this genetic stuff of, oh, well, it's probably, you probably got high blood pressure because it's genetic, or you got diabetes because it's genetic, by epigenetic standards is bullshit.
What if I think it, not say it?
Well, that's just as dangerous because, again, our thoughts are manifestations.
But it's so embroidered in you at a young age.
Right. So that's part of one of the jobs I do too. Right.
You
as a
beat
Reiki
up
master.
Parents?
Well, no, but I beat the.
Shut up, Daryl. Stop telling your kids' teeth are crooked and it's not his fault.
Right? But I do, but I do help work on the traumas.
Okay.
So that's where, again, Reiki kind of comes in.
I got plenty of that.
Works on the trauma that happened to you. And that's why we had to do so much inner child work.
Do you think Reiki is related to yoga? Because some people, like you said, when you were sitting there and you had your hands like this and you experienced that feeling of like, you just started crying. There's several people that just say when they get in a certain yoga position, they hit that like that moment of where their stress is.
The yoga G-spot is what I call it. And then it just fucking comes out of you.
So I believe that anytime, and I love yoga. It's like one of my favorites. I connect with it as well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
I just don't get to do it like I would like to, but I could see myself learning and being a yoga instructor easily because it aligns. Let's just say that it aligns with Reiki very well, as does massage therapy.
Okay.
And things like that. Because the other thing it aligns with is acupressure. Okay.
Ooh. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So it aligns with all of these things because what it's doing, it's releasing these little triggers in your body to release whatever it is that's no longer serving you.
So after somebody gets a massage, they're recommended to drink a lot of water to help flush out those toxins. Is it the same thing?
Uh-huh. In fact, I've had a lot of people, in the middle of a session have to get up and go to the bathroom because they're releasing so much already because they gotta pee really bad and in fact one of the stories I can tell you, I had a lady, it was actually a friend of mine.
Before we dive into this,
yes,
is there, like with doctors and therapists, a like Reiki patient like confidentiality?
Yep. Yes. So I can tell stories, but I can't tell names.
Right.
Oh,
right?
Okay. So we can discuss what happens.
I'm getting ready to tell you one of the ones
I'd like to tiptoe around legalities as much as possible.
No.
So
no, I sign. Well, I mean, technically, I don't have to follow HIPAA, but I do as a courtesy.
Right.
Right.
Oh, rightfully so.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But so I had a client on my table. And I was working on her, and I just kept getting this message in the back of my head. It was very loud. My spirit guides were just like, "You need to tell her. You need to tell her. You need to tell her." I'm like, "Yeah, but her session's not over, right?" She had a 45-minute session. I'm not even 5 minutes into it, and they're like, "Tell her now. Tell her now. Tell her now."
Is it giving you the message?
Kind of, sort of.
Like what to tell her?
It's telling me where in her body was a problem. And that she needed to be seen like immediately. So it told me that I woke her up. I said, "I'm really sorry, but I have to tell you this. So you need to go to the doctor right now." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "I'm just telling you, you need to go to the doctor right now. There's something going on with your gastrointestines. Thank you. There's something going on with the system. There's something wrong with it.
Nice.
I don't know exactly because I'm not a doctor, but I'm telling you, you need to seek medical care immediately, right?"
Yeah, because this dude won't shut up in my head.
Right.
So fucking go figure it out.
And she thought I was a Looney Tune.
Of course she does. Yeah.
She was she was along for the ride. She thought, because she kind of believed in energy, and she's, a lot of people believe in, nothing's wrong with, hands-on, just hands-on loving therapy, right?
Big on that.
Right? What can that hurt, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't sign up for me telling her, "Hey, you might die. Go to the hospital immediately, right?
Do you think so? On the we'll just say she. Can we give her a name? I want to say Stephanie. She sounds like a Stephanie.
She wasn't a Karen for sure.
Okay, thank God, dude. Those are the fucking worst,
right?
God, dude. I could literally tell a 20-minute story about a Karen I ran into yesterday. But either way, no. So let's say Stephanie. The moment she walked in, like you said, she believed a little bit in energy and stuff like that. Does she seem as skeptical as maybe you were when you first walked into your first Reiki experience?
She was
open.
She was way more open than I was to it. But again, she was also very religious, and so there's a fine line.
You're dancing with God and the devil, and
so there's a fine line, and so of course she thinks she's coming in to just like relax, right? And
chill zone.
And I'm telling her abort, you need to go to the doctor like right now.
And Stephanie was like, hey, hold on, do you have a second to hear about my cat? And she's like wanting to vent, and it's like no, like you need to go to the fucking doctor. I don't fucking care about your cat right now. So I finished my thing, and she just basically didn't believe a word I was saying. And then literally 4 days later, she calls me from the hospital. She says, I should have listened to you. She had been bleeding internally.
Wow.
So we're going to go back to Gnostic. I want to pick up that. So, okay. The Gnostic thing, we're back, by the way. So the Gnostic thing, back to the blessing of the water that you use.
Yep.
And that's a priest or a bishop. So is that similar to like a Catholic priest or bishop?
So Gnosticism actually was before Catholicism. Basically, they had their own little thing going on, and Catholics decided that they wanted to rule the world, and they came in and they said, "Oh, we like what you're doing," because if you watch and look or ever attend a Gnostic ceremony service, it looks a lot like a Catholic service. It's the priest in a robe, and they've got the bread, the bread of the Christ, but it's talking about it all. Like it's fully encompassing all the metaphysical. It's going beyond anything that the Bible was ever going to talk about, right? It talks about the magic, the real magic that was being taught that when Jesus Christ was, walking the earth. It's a wild thing. All kinds of really cool stuff, right?
What I lost what I was going to say.
But the Catholics basically came in and said, okay, we like what you're doing, so we're going to steal it, and you can guys fuck off. And if we catch you practicing your own religion, we'll kill you.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened.
#Crusades.
What is it like when these spirits talk to you, or like the guides?
Yeah, the guides. What is that? What is it even? Is it like
do you get like a tingle, like a spidey sense almost, and then like
Peter
then
tingle?
It's more clear once you tune into it?
Or is it like an actual language where it's like, is there like some like Russian dude speaking like Scandinavian to you? And
if I knew Scandinavian or if I knew Russian, then they could speak to me in that language.
But that doesn't happen though, to where you hear like a Japanese dude on your shoulder, and you're like,
they're going to try to communicate with me the best way that they can. For example, when I first began trying to figure out, okay, how do I communicate with my guys? Because remember, I was such a newbie. I was so green.
Right.
I knew nothing, and even I didn't even intend to become a practitioner at all. But it just kind of fell into place. Again, the universe works in non-mysterious ways because I don't believe in coincidences. But
serendipity.
It just worked out that all of a sudden I had this fantastic Reiki studio in my house, and I was a Reiki 2, and I wanted to practice. So I just threw up on Facebook. I was like, hey, if anybody wants free Reiki, I need to practice. So, come get it. And and I had
that's hot.
A
it's
lot
like,
of
hey, come get it.
Has anybody come to you about like their third eye's too open? Like, does anybody try to get something?
AKA this guy.
Yeah. No, she said mine was closed.
His is too closed. Yours is just too open. Like I can feel.
It's too open.
It's too open. Yeah.
How do I fix that, dude?
Well, I can fix it before I leave. If
If my eye's too open, what are some symptoms of that?
This is how, and you're gonna recognize it. So you're a little bit more hyper spastic, a little ADHD. Okay,
Probably.
I close that down. a little bit, you're going to be like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to feel like?
I just got lightheaded. I was like, yeah, that's
opened
accurate.
yours up a little bit more, then you wouldn't be so super laid back.
Right.
You might have
I'd
a little...
go back to how I was when I was a kid and
right.
be like...
Question.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to fuck up the dynamic of the show now?
No.
Now him and I are just going to be perfectly... Because we have like this angel and demon thing going on where like I don't
have to do anything. I'm just
super
saying.
up here.
Yeah.
And we both have not autism. What did you call it? ADHD. I think we're both stupid. And
oh my God.
But our energy levels are different. Like I'm hyped up and this dude probably took a gram of shrooms before he walked into the room.
I didn't.
Oh, that reminds me. Okay. Sorry.
Epiphany.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about you fixing the show after the show. I have a question though.
Okay.
So we're big proponents of like psychedelics.
Okay.
Where are you at on that?
I don't. I have to be clear-minded.
Really?
In fact, I am not. I'm drinking tonight because I can, because I'm not really doing anything. But I'm not supposed to practice and do anything under the influence.
So the people that have like these, I'll use Joe Rogan as a example because he's a huge icon in the public media. But like he is a huge proponent of like take 5 grams of mushrooms and just sit in a room and freak the fuck out, and like or like ayahuasca. He's a big fan of, big proponent of. But like he basically says like if you want to know what's after life, if you want to reach that existence, the closest you'll get is with mushrooms, ayahuasca, these super psychedelic.
Well, that's why they used them in sweat lodges, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that they would kind of help someone. Because again, think back when at a point in time, we discussed this early on in the show, you go back, 100 years, 50 years, whatever, when men weren't allowed to have an emotion.
Yes.
But that you could chip them off and send them to this, camp, so to speak. And they some sort of Native American tribe or some sort of where that would allow them the ability to do so, to let loose and let go
absolutely.
of all of it. Right.
Your clip about Daryl's dick is not in this.
That's fun. If there's any, so there's no correlation, like Reiki doesn't really like fuck with psychedelics.
I'm not saying that practitioners don't use them. They just don't use them and practice with them.
I wonder what, like someone how long have you been doing Reiki?
Oh, 6 or 7 years.
I wonder like not to say that you're not a Reiki. Are you a Reiki master? Quote.
A Reiki master teacher.
Okay. So not to say you're not a Reiki master. So I don't want that to be misconstrued with what I'm about to say. But I wonder what like not necessarily a master or an expert but someone who's been doing it for like 50 years. Someone who was like raised on this. Someone in like Budapest or somewhere.
Right.
I wonder what their thoughts are on psychedelics and like, I mean, is it as great as like, I don't know, like, because it's pretty neat, the state that it puts you in. It puts you in this weird state that like you...
If you were to ask somebody, in my opinion, this is what I think that they would say. If you ask somebody who is super deep, like for example, like let's say Bruce Lee, right? Someone asked him one time in an interview, like, how often do you meditate? And he's like, I meditate all the time. He's like that. He goes, I'm always meditating.
I'm meditating right now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So technically, if you can get yourself to learn how to meditate, you don't need those drugs. You don't need those aids to help you get there, right?
There's people like Sara Guru or Wim Hof that says, show me what this drug can do, and I can attain that through breathing or through
correct.
Other means.
It's all about the breath.
Do you think there's like a white horse? Like I use that as like a, I think it's a white horse is the reference they use for heroin. The first time you do heroin, you get this extreme high that you chase the rest of your heroin usage experience or whatever. Is it white horse? I think it's white horse. But you're basically chasing this white horse, and the terminology white horse is obviously because you're never going to catch it.
Right.
Your first high is your best high.
Right.
So is it similar with meditation? Like, do you think when you hit that first perfect meditation, like, you know what I mean? That it just like, you'll never reach that again?
No.
No, nothing like heroin.
Because every meditation is going to be different, right? And here's the other thing that I think that's really essential about meditation to know: people overthink it all the time.
Surely.
Okay. And what I mean by that is, and I used to do the same thing, right? I thought there was like, I was like all about the conditions. Like, okay, I need to get the perfect, mat, and I got to be in the perfect spot, and I got to find the perfect tree, or I got, and so I can get into that spot.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when people use different, aids like, marijuana or, ayahuasca or any of that. It's helping them get into a state that they don't know how to get into. Right. And you can meditate at any point in time. You don't have to have a perfect environment. You just have to know how to actually meditate.
That's intriguing for a couple of reasons. Like, you make it sound like it could almost be like a crutch. Like, do you, so we're clear, like psychedelics won't ever get you to the same level that meditation will. Like, if you put in work and effort.
Correct.
You don't think psychedelics would get you to that perfect meditation?
No, because here's the other thing too, is now first of all, in today's drugs, they're not pure enough. Like, maybe if we were back in, the 70s, right, when shit was actually pure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have a good friend of mine who did the real acid. Not
everything
shit, right?
Everything is stepped on now.
Right. And so we can't, it's hard for me then to say, look, you're going to reach this, because the other thing is that it's changing your chemical composition in your brain. And meditation doesn't do that.
You're all natural.
Exactly.
It's almost, I'm a big weightlifter. I love lifting weights. So like, it's almost like a guy who uses the needle to get big versus the guy who just does it all natural. Mm-hmm. Not exactly the same, because if you use steroids, you'll get quite a bit bigger than the all natural guy. But shout out to Glenn Ubelor, dude. He's out there crushing it. Clean bodybuilding, dude. And the Glen Reapers. So this wild journey of life that you've been on, you know what I mean? As far as like, from your youth of being like 12 years old, being dragged in and out of churches and synagogues and wherever else, you know what I mean? Trying to find what you were built for, like, and then landing where you are today, where you've found this harmony with like the vibrations of life and these emissions of energy. Like, do you think that through that entire journey that you had like a moment where you were not necessarily challenged, more than challenged, like a moment where you were just like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the end. Like, I don't want to do, and it could be even interior design,
right?
But, or with Reiki, either or both.
Yeah.
Was there a dark moment that kind of like really was like, I'm hanging it up, I'm done? And then most importantly with this moment, you don't have to get into great detail with the moment if you don't want to, but most importantly, what we care the most about with this moment is, what was your anchor, and what kind of like yanked you out of that dark room where you were like, fuck, I'm not going to quit. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. Well, so there was this moment when I got the results back from the doctor that said, you're way worse than we thought, than we realized. And this is what's going on with your body. And this is, and they
basically suggesting you're going to be bedridden.
Pretty close to it. Yeah. Cause they were ready to start the paperwork for getting me on disability. And I didn't, this was going to change my life, because I had planned to go to the beach, and I'd planned to, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And it also was, when I started going to see Joe, that was one of the hardest things he had to have me do, was I had to find who I was as a human first, because I could only identify myself as an interior designer. My friends only identified me as an interior designer. I wasn't a friend to them. I was their interior designer. Right. So I never developed these great relationships like I have now with my clients, because I only saw myself as an interior designer. That's all I ever was. Yeah. So when I found Reiki, I was done with interior design. I was done with it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I wanted to only do Reiki. That was it. I'm opening my shop. I'm getting my crystals. Let's do this. Right. And and that was my thought of, okay, I can't ever do interior design again, because if this is at least something I can do and not maybe be on disability, because with all the different autoimmunes and autonomic immune systems that I had wrong with me, I just wasn't prepared to lay in that bed and I just couldn't do it, because one, I had my oldest son who needs me, my youngest son needs me, but not like my oldest son, because he's, with his lead-based paint poisoning that he had when he was a child, as a baby, as an infant, that kind of scarred him his whole life, that I got to be there for him. And so I just was like, I can't do this. So I tried to move into the Reiki world. But the challenge with that is that as I grew, as I became a different person, as my light started to shine back, because I was in such in this dark place, I found that people still were wanting me to design their spaces. But now I had these different modalities. I can now walk into someone's home and be like, okay, I can tell what kind of emotional issues they might be dealing with. You
can see their aura.
I can see, I don't really look at their auras, because that's really can be misleading, but I can walk into someone's home. I can kind of look around. I can talk to them for a little while, and I can figure out pretty close, are they in a happy relationship with their spouse? Like, what's going on with their children? Like, how are they able to control their lives? Where do they need to find control? What's going on here? And they don't really realize that that's what I'm doing when I'm there. The questions that I ask and how I ask them. And then again, I'm helping to create their environment. So even though I'm still doing interior design, I'm imparting it with the knowledge and the modalities that I have through Reiki to make it a very good and healthy environment.
So what was, I guess, through that, what was your
Reiki pulled her through.
Reiki,
yeah, it was Reiki.
Reiki is what pulled you through.
Yes.
Okay.
Because without that, I didn't have another. I didn't know what else to do. Right. That's where I was desperate to find something. And every time I went to the doctor, it was, "Oh, you're sick. Here's some more medicine."
Yeah, it was always just bad news.
Right. And I was like,
that you never went to the doctor and they were like, "Hey, guess what? You're fucking awesome."
Right. It was always, "You're sick, you're sick, you're sick, you're sick." And I was tired of hearing that. And I was like, something's got to change. Something I don't know what. I don't know how to figure it out yet. Yeah. So that's why it literally was out of pure desperation. And I'm like, I'm willing to try whatever. And I didn't even have a clue what it was.
What is some advice that you have?
Well, I was going to say, so what is is there a different price per session, or what's that like?
So every practitioner, based on their experience, will price their sessions out. On average, they're in our area, anywhere from $50 to $75, usually $80 an hour. Sometimes you got to be mindful of practitioners that will say, "Oh, I'm going to only charge you $25 an hour." Well, they're going to have you in there for 5 hours, just so you know. Right.
Yikes. Yeah, you can't raise the flag and be like, "Hey, I'm France, I quit."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I always tell people, usually it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours the first session, almost guaranteed, because there's too much shit to unpack. Right. But you were saying something about advice.
Oh, So my question was going to be, what we like to do near the end of the interviews is so we could look at this from one or two perspectives before we wrap up today. But what advice do you have for someone who maybe wants to get on the practicing side of Reiki?
Yeah.
So advice for those individuals, newbies, less than newbies. They know nothing about it.
They need to reach out to someone that they trust. So whether it be me or they know somebody that, it's important that you have someone there that you trust. Because it's a journey that you're going to go on, and you have to have someone there that you feel comfortable guiding you correctly.
And then my second, to follow up on that, advice for individuals that were maybe as skeptical, maybe more skeptical than you were the first time walking into, say his name again?
Joe Wiegent.
Joe Wiegent's office.
Yeah.
So advice to folks like that are like, bullshit, those people.
Yeah.
And then what advice do you give to somebody that is totally oblivious to the world of Reiki, and then like how to, I guess, kind of like be more, I don't know, like what advice would you have for somebody like that that's completely ignorant to it?
So I say it like this, try to ask them, first of all, like, tell me, like, what do you believe in, right? For example, I believe that there's a reason why people believe prayer works. Why does it work? Because we're telling the universe, the higher power, our higher selves, whatever you believe in, what we need. So if your higher power is God, you're telling the universe, you're telling the God, you're telling whatever, right? What you need. And the more people that you can ask, will you please pray for me? So I have no problem with someone saying, pray for me. When they ask me to do that, I'm not praying for them. I'm doing something else. I'm going to ask the universe for what it is they've asked for. But it's the same kind of, but in a different language. It's like if I was speaking, like we talked about that. If I'm speaking Spanish and you're speaking American, we might be saying the exact same sentence. Correct. Just in two different languages. And there's nothing wrong with it. So I try to help someone to relate that it's not foreign. It's just another way of thinking. And we can all be balanced and united together. There's no problem with your belief system, and there's no problem with my belief system. You're allowed to have yours, and I'm allowed to have mine. And if I listen to you, I might learn something. If you listen to me, I might learn something. Right. You might learn something.
Unless you ask the Catholics, they're always right. Dude, I'll tell you what, it's been nothing short of a pleasure to have you in today.
Thank you so much.
I have to tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can book appointments.
Yeah, anything. Absolutely. So the last couple minutes we give to you, if you have any upcoming events or sales, or we're recording 2 weeks in advance, keep in mind. But so if you have anything coming up you want to put out into the ether, let them know about it, where to reach you on socials and
Absolutely.
Stuff like that. Anything that
Essence
you want to put out there.
On Essence Pro 2019, I believe, on Instagram, Essence Pro on Facebook, or just find me on Jodie Murtha. I share a lot of information there. I'm on TikTok, and I'm on a website. I have my own website, essencepro.com, and you can reach out to me there. I put my phone there. You can call me on my phone, and I will pick it up, and we can have a chat and talk about what it is you want to work on, and what you want to accomplish. So I do sessions, as well as I teach and give lessons. And I can also help a lot of people who, let's say you don't want to learn how to do Reiki, but let's say you also, and you don't have an issue of needing to come to me for Reiki, but you want to, you need some advice on, the fact that you might have maybe ghosts in your house, or you might have, be very open. Maybe you're a very open conduit and you don't know how to like shield and things like that. Call me, because I'm going to be able to help walk you through the steps that you need to help protect yourself and know what you're doing with maybe some powers that you didn't even that you have. You just don't know how to control them.
And I believe I saw some contact information on your website.
Yes.
And your website again was?
It's essencepro.com.
Seriously, Jodie, it's been nothing short of a pleasure. I can't tell you how pumped I was to meet you today and to talk all the spirit stuff. I was super jacked about that, and I've learned a lot more about Reiki today. So
a lot, yeah.
I'm very, very. I'm great. More of a rounded human being having you in today. So I greatly appreciate you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you both for having me. This has been great.
This has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And this has been Jodie Murtha.
Murtha. You almost had it.
This has been Jodie Murtha. I knew I was going to screw that up. Thank you so much, Jodie.
Thank you.